Ryan Day or Marcus Freeman? It's always an interesting debate when you start talking about coaches, comparing coaches. We're getting ready to get into the offseason, and I can guarantee you a lot of things about the offseason, but one of the things I can guarantee you about every offseason is everybody that does anything college football related for a living is going to come out with some kind of a best coaches list, right? Whether it's, here's, ranking the SEC head coaches or the top 25 coaches in college football or whatever. Everyone does that, right? And it always causes a lot of conversation, debate, argument back and forth amongst fans. And I'm curious what all y'all look at when you attempt to determine who is a better coach, and even narrowing it down between just two people. Like in this case, obviously we're talking about Ryan Day, head coach of Ohio State, and Marcus Freeman, the head coach of Notre Dame, who face off tonight in the national championship game at 7:30. I'll be live streaming tonight right here on this channel. If y'all want to come hang out and watch the national championship game, come on over. We'll hang out. We always have a good time on those live streams. But people tend to sometimes, overreaction is a big thing, right? And then I think also like dumbing things down, I think is something that happens a lot online. And give you an example to relate it to the coaching thing here. It's like, whoever wins the game tonight, if Ohio State wins, then, Ryan Day is the greatest coach on the planet, and he's definitely better than Marcus Freeman. Or if Notre Dame wins tonight, Marcus Freeman's the best coach in the game today. Yeah, he's definitely better than Ryan Day. Now, one of those things is obviously true. Like either Ryan Day is better than Marcus Freeman or Marcus Freeman's better than Ryan Day. Like obviously one of those things is true, but does the outcome of this one game determine that? And there's a couple of sort of pushbacks on that. That's to kind of dumb it down thing. Well, this team beat that team, therefore this coach better than that coach. We get this a lot in the quarterback debate too. A team will win a game, and then later someone will criticize that team's quarterback, and they'll go, well, they beat such and such. Yeah, the team beat them. One game is not an indication necessarily all the time that one coach, player, whatever is better than the other. But just as an example, does anybody think that in 2019, Ed Orgeron was the best college football coach in the country? Does anybody really think that? LSU won the national title in 2019. They're a great team. One of the best teams of this century, the Joe Burrow led team, right? Great team. Not taking anything away from Ed Orgeron. But that wasn't the only year Ed Orgeron was a coach. He coached a lot of years. I don't remember anybody ever trying to convince me or anyone else that because LSU won the Natty in 2019 that suddenly Ed Orgeron was the best coach, right? LSU won the Natty, didn't make Ed Orgeron the best coach. Even look at this year, right? Ohio State or Notre Dame is going to win the national title, right? Well, does that mean if Ohio State wins the national title, does that mean that Ryan Day is better than Marcus Freeman, but Sharon Moore is better than Ryan Day because Michigan beat Ohio State? Or if Notre Dame wins, does it mean that Marcus Freeman is better than Ryan Day, but the head coach of Northern Illinois is better than Marcus Freeman? No, of course it doesn't. That's way too simple of an approach to take when you're breaking down these coaches, right? So I'm not here to tell you there's a right way to do it. There is no right way. That's why these, it's another one of these things we love about college football. Unprovable points. We absolutely, as college football fans, as much as we complain about them, we love unprovable points. We absolutely love it. The whole ranking structure, a playoff committee that's handpicking teams, like, none of this stuff is ever provable. Is Miami better than Indiana? Yes or no? I don't know. I think Indiana should have been in the playoffs, and I think Miami shouldn't have been based on what each team did during the course of the season. But I can't sit here and tell you right now that I know 100% for certain that Indiana is better than Miami or that Miami would be better than Indiana. I've got no idea. And that's one of the great things about college football because of the number of teams that we have. Right now, 135, 136 teams in major FBS college football. There's no way for all of those teams to play each other. So everything is always left up to interpretation and debate. And as much as it drives us up the wall to sit here and go back and forth arguing something over and over again, I truly believe that's one of the draws of college football. And the same thing applies when you're trying to sort of, whether you want to call it ranking head coaches, or in this case, just who's a better head coach, Ryan Day or Marcus Freeman. If you're an Ohio State fan, you're going to point to the fact that, he's been winning for a longer period of time. He got hired at Ohio State before Marcus Freeman was hired at Notre Dame. So he's had Ohio State at a high level for a longer period of time than Marcus Freeman has with Notre Dame. If you're a Ryan Day guy, you're going to point to the conference titles and to the number of times he's made the playoffs and to the big bowl wins and to all the players he's put into the draft and top 5 recruiting classes. And all of those things are positives in the Ryan Day category, right? If you're a Marcus Freeman guy, you're going to say, well, he inherited a roster that wasn't nearly talented enough to make the playoff. Never mind win playoff games. He's improved it through recruiting and transfer portal. He's improved every year he's been at Notre Dame, right? He went from, 9-4, 10-3, and now, of course, this year sitting at 14-1 with a chance to win a natty. You're going to point to all those things. And then the opposite, right? You're going to go, well, if you're trying to sort of, if you're arguing against Ryan Day, it's the he can't beat Michigan. He inherited a Ferrari and hasn't won anything. And of course, anything being code word for a national title. He's literally won everything but a national title. But people don't phrase it that way. They say he ain't won nothing because he hasn't won a natty, right? So he ain't won nothing. He's soft. He inherited a Ferrari and can't win the big game. He can't beat his rival. He can't beat Michigan. He can't, all that. And then same thing. You're going to argue against Marcus Freeman, and you're going to go, well, he inherited a pretty good team and immediately lost to Marshall and Stanford at home. This year he lost to Northern Illinois at home. He doesn't have any conference titles. Until this year, he'd never even won a playoff game. You just go on and on and on. And so you sort of cherry pick the sort of things that prop your guy up and diminish the other guy. And that's where it becomes a never-ending sort of circular firing squad with no real answer. And the reality is there is no real answer. We don't really know who's a better coach between Ryan Day and Marcus Freeman. And even the phrase like, who's the best coach? What are we talking about here? Coaching is more than a win-loss. The win-loss record, it tends to be the result at the end, but there's so much that goes into being a college head coach these days. It's recruiting, your ability to recruit, your ability to hire, right? You could say, well, Ohio State didn't do this, or this in the last couple of years because, the defensive coordinator, blah, blah. Well, Ryan Day hired that defensive coordinator, just like Ryan Day should get credit now for hiring Knowles, right? That's part of your job responsibility as a head coach, recruiting, hiring the best staff that you can, developing players, practice. And I'm talking about everything from how you schedule it to when you schedule it to how you run the practices. Do you tackle? Do you not tackle? How many days do you have contact during a week? All of that stuff, right? Game plan management, divvying up of responsibilities. I think a huge quality of a great head coach is the ability to delegate and to not have to be completely in charge of every aspect of the program. Trust your hires. If you hire good people, you should be able to trust them to do their job, freeing you up to do other things, roster management, NIL concerns, the speech tour that they have to go on and give to the different boosters clubs to try to raise money year round, right? Re-recruiting your own players every single year in the age of never-ending free agency in college football. Game week management, game day management, game philosophy, scheming. How early do we come out? What do we eat? When do we? All of that stuff goes into, being a good head coach or ranking head coaches or whatever. It's the sort of win-loss record that you see from the team at the end of the day is kind of the end result of all the ingredients that you've put in there. How good are you at all of those other things so that the result at the end of the season is something close to what you want it to be? Now, obviously, both of these two teams, Notre Dame and Ohio State, are going to have good results at the end of the season. Now, only one team can win the national title, and because this is the internet and It's just kind of how things work. Whoever loses this game is going to be terrible and didn't deserve to be there. And whoever wins the game is going to be the greatest team of all time. That's just how we do on the internet here. But in reality, these are two really good teams. And these are two really good coaches. So I guess I would ask you this. If the coach of your team quit tomorrow for whatever reason or was fired or whatever, whatever team is you're a fan of, if they found themselves tomorrow without a head coach, which of these two guys would you want? If your school had your pick of these two guys, Marcus Freeman or Ryan Day, who would you take? And where do you rank these guys sort of in the hierarchy of college football coaches? If you want to give me a top 5, you can, or, if you want to just say, I think these are 2 top 5 coaches, or I think these are 2 top 10 coaches, or I think Ryan Day is top 5 and Marcus Freeman is top 10, whatever. If you want to give me an idea where you would, of where you rank them, let me know. But I was thinking about this today because I saw a thing already floating around about the best college football coaches. And I'm like, we haven't even got to the offseason yet. And people are still already onto their offseason material because, again, this kind of thing comes up every single offseason, ranking the coaches. So it got me thinking about the game tonight. I'm on Ohio State, by the way. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. But I think Ohio State will win. I think they're favored by about 8.5. I'm not going to play either side. I put a futures bet in about a month ago on Ohio State to win the national title at even money. Actually, it's at plus 105. So it doesn't make any sense for me to take Ohio State minus the 8.5 when I've already got a futures bet on Ohio State to win the Natty, which now basically just means all they've got to do is win tonight's game by 1 point and I win the bet. Why would I risk canceling that out by laying the 8.5? So I'm probably just going to watch the game and enjoy it. Hopefully it'll be a good game. I think it will be probably low scoring. I am leaning towards Ohio State getting the win, though. I just think offensively, Notre Dame's got a really good defense, and I think it will be a struggle for Ohio State for lots of this game. But I think it's going to be a struggle for Notre Dame, too. Ohio State's defense kind of, I feel like, doesn't get talked about enough because the offense is so shiny and sparkly with Jeremiah Smith and those 2 running backs and Emeka Egbuka and Carnell Tate, and just the embarrassment of riches they have at a skill position on the offensive side of the ball. I feel like the Ohio State defense kind of doesn't get the credit they deserve. They're a really, really good defense. And the reality is, as good of a team as Notre Dame has been this year, struggled offensively against elite defenses in pretty much every game they've played against an elite defense. And which offense? So basically you got 2 offenses going against 2 really good defenses. Which offense do I trust more to break through a time or two? I guess I trust Ohio State's offense more. So I feel like they probably win the game, 24-17, something like that. But anyway, I'll be live tonight at 7:30 if y'all want to come hang out and watch the game. Let me know down below, what do you think about Marcus Freeman and Ryan Day? Have a good morning.